Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. Today, I want to talk about a watch that is kind of familiar, but also kind of entirely new. It retains most of the classic look of the original G-Shock watch from the early 1980s, but it's packed with some 21st century technology. I think of it as an elegant wristwatch from a more civilized time. Let's talk about it. These are my G-Shock Square watches, and all of these have atomic timekeeping through multiband 6, and they all have the tough solar feature to keep the battery charged on these. These two, however, are a little bit different because these also have Bluetooth connectivity. So different module for these two, and I'm going to focus on these two right now. Now, in the past, I've said that I normally prefer a regular LCD readout rather than this reverse or negative LCD readout. I just think that, generally speaking, it's easier to see this one in a variety of lighting conditions, and in low light, this one becomes more difficult to see at a glance. Of course, the best one would be maybe this one here that doesn't have a kind of a color tint to it at all. But, well, let's focus on these right now. See, I saw this one, and it's just so different. I thought, maybe I'll check out this negative LCD display with that red tint. It looks like something Kylo Ren would wear in Star Wars, right? A Sith watch, if you will. So let's take a look at that one. Incidentally, I've already done an in-depth review of this watch here. And I'm just going to say, well, maybe you haven't seen that one. So I'm going to do an in-depth review of this red one, and we'll just start from the top. This one that I reviewed before has a composite bracelet for a watch band, and this has the resin watch band. But other than that, it's really just the colors that are different about these two watches. This red watch is the GWB5600AR-1, module 3461. Retail, $150. You'll find it for about that price, somewhere between $140, $150. Looking online right now, a lot of retailers from Japan will sell it to you for that price. This one I got for a little bit of a discount, and so I could not resist. I had to try it out. All right, so the main features on here, well, of course it has the tough solar and the multiband 6 that I talked about. Multiband 6 means that it has a radio receiver inside of it, and it will automatically try to receive atomic time information from any of 6 transmitters in different parts of the world. So if you're within range, it will try to pick up atomic time automatically from China. Or there are 2 atomic time transmitters in Japan. There's one in the United States, one in the UK, and one in Germany. So for me, I would rely on the one in the United States. If you are outside the range of those atomic time transmitters, this will still run as a regular quartz watch and be within 15 seconds a month accuracy. Or with the Bluetooth connection, you can pretty much use it anywhere in the world as long as you have an internet connection to your Bluetooth device, and then that'll be just as good as having multiband 6 to keep it accurate to within fractions of a second every day. To access the various modes of this watch, I can push this button down here on the lower left side, and the first mode shows me a world time mode. So it's showing me the time in another time zone that I've selected. This by default is UTC, or Greenwich Mean Time. And you'll notice up there it's also showing the local time in addition to this world time in the larger display. If I push this button on the lower right side, I can select other time zones as well. So it's got 5 time zones that I can display here, and the defaults are on there right now. So yeah, not bad. Okay, the next mode, I'll go in here. This is the alarm mode. Right now it's at default. So right now it has the alarm set for midnight, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 alarms. A 5th alarm is a snooze alarm. So the normal alarms go for 10 seconds every day if they're switched to on, and you can do that with this button here, turn that on. But if it's the snooze alarm, then it goes for 10 seconds, and then 5 minutes later it'll go another 10 seconds, and 5 minutes after that another 10 seconds, up to a half an hour following the first time that it was set to go. So that's 7 times. And if you don't pay attention to it by then it'll stop and wait until the next day to continue to give you that alarm every day. Also within this alarm mode, it has the hourly chime. So you can have it beep every hour on the hour, turning that on and off right here. And you have some indication right there when the alarms or the hourly signal are activated on this display. Okay, next mode is a stopwatch. And pretty standard as far as stopwatches on digital watches go. If you push this button down here, you start and stop that. And it's showing minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second. And up here, let's see, it's this button on the left side for split time. Okay. And also to reset, I stop it and then I reset using this up here. So the nice thing about this, it's actually a 24-hour stopwatch. And so right now it's showing, minutes, seconds, and hundredths of a second. If it gets above 1 hour, then this shifts over and it'll be hours, minutes, and seconds. And it'll keep going all the way to 24 hours and continue to go if you don't stop it. It'll reset to 0 and just keep on going every 24 hours. That's how that works. All right, down here, if I push here, it's a countdown timer. And this, again, is a 24-hour countdown timer. So right now I can use this button here and look at that. It's prompting me how long to hold it. I can set hours, I can set minutes, and I can set seconds. So it doesn't have to be whole minutes if I don't want it to be. Okay, and that, that'll allow me to count down. If I set it to all zeros, then that's a true 24-hour countdown. And so, not bad as far as that goes. And we're back to our regular timekeeping mode. Now, brand new watch here. I haven't set anything on it. It's all defaults. And so one of the defaults is the time zone right now. If I start from this timekeeping mode, I press and hold this button marked adjust up here on the left side and hold it long enough and things start blinking here. So home time right now is set to Tokyo. Okay, so I'm going to move that to, and look as I went to change it, it started at UTC. And this button down here would be as though I'm scrolling eastward on a map to the different time zones. And this button up here on the right side is as though I'm going westbound on the map. I'm going to leave it at the Denver time zone, the mountain time zone where I am. And so this would be my local time here. I notice that right now it isn't perfectly synchronized with this watch here because this watch on the left has not been able to set itself to the atomic time reference for a couple of months now. So that's why it's drifted off, and not bad for a couple of months, but we're gonna remedy that in just a moment. All right, now that I've set my home time zone, I push the mode button, and this allows me to set up a few other things. Now, right here you can see that it's blinking DST and auto. What this means is that it will automatically adjust itself for daylight saving time and display the time either as standard time or daylight saving time, or that could also be called summer time. So I can have it automatically change, or using this button down here, I can select it to always be off. So that would mean it's always showing standard time, or always on for always showing daylight saving time. But I'm going to leave it on automatic because that's what it does in my time zone. Next mode here is, this is where you can manually set the time. So if I push this down here, it would reset the seconds, and it's either going to go, to the nearest minute when it does that. So it's either going to go back to the start of the minute, or if this is above 30 seconds, it's going to move ahead to the next minute. And also I can then set hours, minutes. I can set the date here, the year, month, and a day of the month. I can manually set all of those things, but as soon as the watch is able to set itself using Bluetooth or the multiband 6 function, those settings will be replaced by the atomic time that it receives. If I push the mode button again, now I can select either a 12-hour or 24-hour display, and that's going to affect all the modes of the watch if I select 12-hour or 24-hour for all of those modes. This is where I can have the display up here show either month and day of the month, or I can reverse that, day of the month and month, when it abbreviates those with numbers, right? So depending on where you are in the world, if you prefer month first or day of the month first, you have that setting right there. Next mode, English. So you have the ability to have an abbreviated day of the week up here in this window, and that's the only thing that this language selection is going to affect. Either it's going to display an abbreviation of the day of the week in English, Spanish, French, German, Italian, or Russian. I'm going to leave it back on English. Next mode here is key. So whenever you push a button to change modes or to start and stop the stopwatch or the timer, it's going to make a little bit of a beep. I'll let you hear what that sounds like on another watch. Okay, I'm going to hold this up to the microphone. So if you get that beep every time you push a button, maybe you don't want that beep. You want to be a little bit more discreet when you're changing modes or playing with your watch in the middle of a meeting or whatever you're doing. So you can push this button down here on the lower right side and mute that. And then down here in the display, it looks like a little musical note with a line through it showing that it's muted, or you can have it whichever way you want it. Either it's going to beep a lot or only beep a little. Even when this is muted, it's still going to make a beep when an alarm goes off or when a countdown timer ends, but it's just not going to make as many beeps in all the other things you're doing with the watch. I'll press mode again, and this is where I can select the backlight to come on for either 2 seconds or 4 seconds. Normally you'd want to keep that to a short duration because you don't want to drain the battery of the watch. But since this is a rechargeable watch that charges itself with that tough solar feature, I'm going to go ahead and leave it on a long duration because I kind of like that. And next, okay, the receiving here. It's going to receive atomic time information either from the Bluetooth application or from the multiband 6. You can turn that off if you don't want it to. If you want to manually set the time and the date and not have it update itself, just stay on your other time that you've set. Yeah, you can turn that off, but I'm going to leave it on. And finally, the power save mode. So what this does is, in order to save power, the display will go blank at certain times when the watch is not being used. And by default, power save will activate after 10 p.m. If the watch hasn't been used for about an hour, then the screen will go blank. And if it hasn't been used for, several days, weeks, whatever, then some of the other functions will also shut down as part of power save. So maybe multiband 6 won't activate anymore. The alarms won't activate anymore if you leave it neglected for, many, many days. But when you have it in power save mode, and overnight it goes blank after 10 p.m. You can easily bring it back out of that sleep state by pressing any button or just moving the watch. It has a little motion sensor inside of it. Or just expose the watch to a well-lit area, and that will bring it out of that sleep mode if the screen happens to have gone blank. And there you go. Those are all of the setups that you would do here on the watch without the app. Now, I'm going to demonstrate the app as well, because almost everything that you can do with the watch, setting it with all these buttons here, you can also do using the app. But there are just a couple of things that you can only access with the app, and a couple of things that you can only access without the app here on the watch itself. One I'll show you in particular. Okay, take a look at this. This is the closest equivalent to this watch without the Bluetooth, okay? So down here, it shows you the state of the battery. It's either a low or medium or high charge on that battery. So right there's a little box that appears over L, M, or H. There's no indication on here of whether or not the battery is well charged. And the only way you can tell if the battery is well charged is by using the app. There's nothing on the watch that will show you if your battery is fully charged or not. Gotta use the app. Now, another thing here on this watch, if you were curious, when was the last time it was able to set itself using multiband 6, push this button here on the lower right side from the normal timekeeping mode, and here it will show. In this case, it was a couple of days ago, right after midnight, that it had a successful reception of the multiband 6 time information. But on here, it doesn't do that. This button does something else if you push this button down here. Yeah, so how do you find out, if you're curious, the last time it was able to receive multiband 6 successfully? All right, I'll show you how to do that on the watch. For this, you have to access one of the diagnostic screens, and this is not in the owner's manual. It's kind of a hidden feature, but here's what you do. You have to press 3 buttons at once, and it's every button except this one at the same time. Or if you're not quite coordinated enough, as I often am not, to press 3 buttons all at once, maybe you could press this light button just a fraction of a second before you press these other 2. Hold it down and make sure you're pressing all 3 at once. So let's see if I can do that here. Here I go, try to coordinate this. Okay, there, it worked. All right, so what this is showing me, it's starting to show me something about the radio reception and the multiband 6 receiver. This is showing me information about one of the Japanese transmitters, that J for Japan, and the 40 representing the radio frequency that it's using. But I'm not going to look at that. Instead, I'm going to push this button here on the lower left side right now. And, well, I guess that refers to reception, but I'm going to press it one more time. And there it is. This is telling me the last time for RC, for radio control or reception, the last time it was able to receive atomic time information from multiband 6 was October 24th at 6:22 p.m. So I think this is probably kind of a default, maybe when it was first activated in the factory, just a couple of months ago. This is about 3 months ago as I'm recording this. So, hey, in 3 months, it hasn't been able to receive, and it was only a few seconds off from the actual atomic time after those 3 months. Hey, not bad at all. So anyway, that's kind of a hidden way to figure that one out. You get to this display by pushing a combination of 3 buttons in a way that's not mentioned in the owner's manual. And then if I push the mode button again, it takes me right back to the home screen for normal timekeeping. Now at this point, it's time to show you the app. I got this G-Shock connected app from the App Store, and there's also an Android version. I'm going to show you on an iPad, hoping that it's a little bit easier to see here, but I'll start the app. And well, now I also have to pair the device here with the watch and this tablet together. Now, when I've already installed this app, I've already used it on other watches. So when you first install it, it's going to ask you to agree to the user license agreement and all of that stuff. And you might think, oh, I've got a bad feeling about this, but I went through and told it that it could access all that stuff. Right now, I guess I was using my Gravity Master. I'm going to go here and tap on this icon on the upper left and select Connect to a new watch. Okay, so, and it's asking me which watch, and it's got several that use this same app. This particular one is going to be down here at the bottom of the list, GWB5600. So I'm going to say that's the watch I want to use, and then I'm going to hold this mode button down on the watch long enough, and now it's going to try to start connecting to here. And look, it's already come up and said, register the watch to the app. So right now they are connecting, and time zone data was updated. Registration was successful, and here I go. My watch and my app are now talking to each other. So the first thing that comes up is this world time screen, and here it's showing me the time zones that were already by default in the watch. And it's interesting that right here it's showing me in real time what is on the watch display, so showing me that they are synchronized. And as a matter of fact, if I put these watches now side by side, you can see that, okay, I've corrected the time difference where this one wasn't synchronized with that one. Now they're all synchronized all the way across. Don't you love synchronization? Also, here, there's an icon up here showing me, yes, that's the state of the battery, and showing me that it's pretty well charged at the moment. This little battery meter will either, go up or down depending on, what happens to the watch. But again, the watch is not going to show the state of the battery. It's only going to show up here on the app. All right here I can select other time zones or other cities for these 5 world time zones. So let's just say instead of New York, let's choose something else. So I tap on New York, and it brings up a map, and I can kind of pinch down on this and show these other things. Let's say instead of New York, I want that 5th time zone to be Sydney, Australia. So I just select it there. It's allowing me to select my daylight saving time information, and well, I'll just say set the city and send it to the watch. And then here on the map of the world, it's showing me New York, and it's going to show me as though I'm flying in an airplane from New York to Sydney here in just a moment as it's updating that time zone. And there we go. Now, that 5th time zone, and I go back here, is showing Sydney. Now also, if I wanted to quickly swap my home time with one of these other time zones, I can do that right here by tapping there. And now it's waiting for me to select which one of these I'd like to swap. So let's make it Sydney then. If I tap on there, it's just made the swap and it's prompting me to send that to the watch. And here we go. And now as you see, the watch's home time has changed to Sydney, and this fifth time zone in my world time mode has changed to Denver. I'm going to go ahead and swap that back because I'm not in Sydney right now. And send that to the watch. Now from here, I can select another tab down here on the bottom. How about this one, time and place? Now it has a little warning here about whether or not this is legal in the country where you are. So I'm going to dismiss that because I think we're okay to go here. What this would do is, if I had been using this watch a lot to connect to the app, it would actually not only update the time every time I connect, but here it would save the location of where I was when that time update happened. And I'd be able to look at those on the map. I'll show you that in just a moment. The next tab here, utility, I'll tap that. And this is where I can set the alarms using the app. So right here, I can select signal and I can turn that off if I wanted to. So the hourly signal is no longer activated. Okay, and then I go back here and I can set one of these alarms. Let's say I'm going to set the snooze alarm. It's already on. I want to change it to say 6:10 in the morning and send that to the watch. And for some people, that's a quicker, easier way to set that than it would be pressing buttons on the watch. Okay, I'll take it out of there. The countdown timer, a moment ago I showed you I set that to 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 10 seconds. Here I can set that to anything else that I want it to be. And I can send that information to the watch. I can't start and stop the countdown timer from the app, but I can set the duration from the app. So next time I bring it up on the watch, it'll be set to whatever duration I have chosen. This is something that you can only set through the app, a reminder. So you've got some options here. Let's say reminder number 1. I'm going to select that. And this is where you can select certain days or days of the week when there would be a certain reminder you would want up. So let's say day of the week. I'm going to say every Monday. My reminder here, I can type in a message, and it's going to be YouTube. So let's say every Monday, I want a reminder that I need to make more YouTube videos. Oh, and I can also set that to on or off from here. So I have, you can give yourself reminders for, work, birthdays, anniversaries. You can make them be, once a year or once every week, or there's a lot of options there for the reminder. And I'll show you in a moment where that comes up on the watch display. Okay, up here's a gear icon. And here I can change the name of this watch as it shows up on the app. So if I just tap here in the name of the watch, brings up a little keyboard, and I can say, well, let's just call this the Sith watch, because it looks like something you'd find in Star Wars. Okay, and there it is now called the Sith watch. And I'm going to, right here, I can adjust, the 12-hour, 24-hour display, the month and day display, the language display, many of the things that you saw me adjusting on the watch by pushing buttons. I can make those adjustments and send the new settings to the watch through the app. And again, for some people, it may be easier to do that through the app instead of a combination of buttons on the watch. When it's connected to Bluetooth, you can have it automatically time out after 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes. And this is where you make that selection. So you could disconnect the watch from Bluetooth and save some battery power, anytime you want to. But if you forget to do that, you can make it automatically time out using that there. Now, here's the time adjustment, and this is where it can automatically adjust the time through the app. Now, what I found is that I had to go into the app settings and tell it that it was okay for it to know my location all the time, even when I'm not using the app. And I think that setting, by setting it to that setting, it allows the Bluetooth connection to happen at any time. You don't have to have the app open, and the watch will automatically try to connect to Bluetooth just to update its time. And that'll happen 4 times in a 24-hour period. It happens about 12:30 and 6:30, both AM and PM. So I can turn that on for automatic time adjustment. If I don't have that turned on, then it will revert to multiband 6. Priority is it'll use the Bluetooth app to set itself, but if it's unable to do that, it'll use multiband 6 to try and set itself every day. Here again, the light setting. If I want the light on for 2 seconds or 4 seconds, I can do that. Also, there's an automatic light setting. When you turn your wrist in a certain position, the light will automatically come on. I'll keep that turned on, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. Power save mode, you can turn it on or off here. And the daylight saving time adjustment for your home time zone, you can set that right here as well. So a lot of great things you can do with the app. Again, just a couple things like this reminder that are only accessed through the app and not through the watch. And again, the battery power only on the app, not on the watch. If I go here and tap through these other tabs and go to the guide, then it actually has a little tutorial on what the different buttons do in the different modes. A little bit of a kind of a quick start guide, if you will, that you can tap on these here and see how the button functions change in the different modes on the watch. Now, when the watch is connected, I can stop that connection at any time by pushing any button on the watch, and that'll disconnect it, and see it comes up on the screen and tells me, okay, the watch is disconnected. From here, I can tap on the upper left. That's a little icon that looks like a watch, and say, let's connect to a new watch. But instead of connecting to a new watch, I'm going to go up here to this gear icon, and I'm going to select demo mode. And then I'm going to select a different watch, maybe a watch that I don't have, or in this case, this is a watch I do have, but it's kind of a fun one to get into the demo mode. So this is kind of fun because you can almost test drive another watch, and decide what does the other watch do, and watch it on the app and say, I think I like that watch. In this case, that's exactly what I did when I first got the app. I did a little demo on the watch that I had, and then a little demo on this watch here, and decided I like this Gravity Master watch, and I ended up getting one. And there's a video online where I reviewed my Gravity Master watch that I got as well. Now, when you're out and about with this watch, you can have it connect just long enough to update the time by simply tapping this button on the lower right side of the watch. Just tap that, takes a moment. It connects just long enough, and look, it says Sith watch, just long enough to update itself, and then it's done, and then the connection stops. Or again, if I want to do a full connection and start making adjustments using the app, then I would press and hold this button on the lower left side, press and hold it long enough until it says it's connected. Okay, the icon comes up here showing that it's trying to connect, and then the app will respond. It takes a few seconds, and then it is connected here. There you go. But that time that I just tapped this button here just for the momentary connection, it actually saved my location. So now when I go to time and place, it actually shows me the GPS coordinates for here at my house. And if I touch this here, it brings up a map that shows me where my house is on the map. I had this watch paired to my iPhone and was driving around the other day, so I could just show you what it looks like on the iPhone when I go back and look at my last place or the all places, and it shows me a list of the places I've been to, gives me the GPS coordinates and the time that I was there, and then the ability to look that up on a map and see where I was when I made those connections, and purposely connected the watch just to do a time update and also save my location when that happened. All right, let's take a look at the back of the watch. It has that nice machined look on the back cover of the watch, held on by these 4 tiny screws. Again, a nice resin watch band. Again, I'm not sure exactly how well this approximates how it's going to look just in everyday conditions as you wear it around, but it looks pretty close to my eye, what the camera is seeing right now as I move it around and look at it at different angles as to, you know, how well you can see the display. Not bad. I think it's overall just a little bit better than the black negative LCD display, but we'll see how it works in regular everyday use here in the next few days and weeks. All right, let's look at the weight here. Comes in at what, 53 grams. Okay, compared to like this one here, another G-Shock watch. Okay, pretty close there. Compared to this one here, Bluetooth with the composite bracelet. Okay, that weighs in a little bit more than that. Compared to this G-Shock with the carbon fiber watch band. Okay, of course, carbon fiber, pretty lightweight. Compared to this one with the screw-on back, that's going to be kind of heavy by comparison. And compared to this negative LCD with the combo bracelet here. Okay, so, you know, on the lighter side compared to most of those other G-Shock watches. Not bad at all. Comfortable enough watch. You know, so far so good, right? Let's take a look at the automatic backlight feature. I've got it set so that as I turn the watch towards myself at a certain angle, as though I've got my wrist turned that way, that's how it comes on. It's kind of nice how it sort of fades in and fades out like that. Let's show that one more time. Automatic backlight. Fade in, fade out. And if it happens to be a day when there's a reminder, an active reminder on that day, it changes the color at the very end of the backlight activation. Just kind of blinks a little bit. So that's one of the ways that it reminds you that there's something you're supposed to remember. If I set the reminder using the app, then right here I'm still connected to the app, and it's telling me REM up here in this box to tell me there is a reminder. So if I disconnect the app right now, it's not showing me anything there. However, if I push and just tap at this adjust button there, it's telling me what my reminder is. Let's see, turn to dark side. Oh, so this is a dark side of the Force watch after all. Okay, so that's my reminder. Tap there to find out what it was. Okay. There are some little indications here on the screen. That shows you the power save mode is activated. That shows you that LT, the automatic light feature is activated. And the way to turn that on or off, not using the app, is just to hold the light button down for a few seconds until that LT either goes away or comes back. And that, again, just means that when you turn the watch up this way, and when it's dark enough, because, you know, this solar cell built into the face of the watch operates like a light sensor. So if it's too light, then the automatic backlight won't come on. But if it's dark enough and it's activated, that's where it's going to go. RCVD means multiband 6 was recently successful. SNZ means the snooze alarm is one of the alarms that's set right now. Those two indicators also showing the alarm is set to go. If there were a little dot in the middle, that would mean the hourly chime is set to go. And so those are kind of some common indications that you would find on other G-Shock watches, and you also find them on this one. Now let's say now that I've got this watch all set up to go on my tablet, that I'd rather switch it to another device, like I want it paired with my phone instead. I can either I can connect it to the tablet and use the app to undo that pairing, or I can do it right here on the watch. And what I do is I hold this adjust button down until things start blinking, and I push this mode button until the seconds starts to blink right there. And then I press and hold this light button for a few seconds until it's clear pair. And there I go. Now that pairing is cleared, and it's ready to pair to another device. So I didn't have to take it into Anchorhead and have its memory erased in order to undo that pairing. It's something that I can do right here on the watch. And now if I just activate the app on my phone, I can pair it up to the phone. Well, there you go. This is still kind of a relatively new watch as I'm recording this. This particular model has only been on the market for about 2 or 3 months as of today. But we'll see how it holds up in the long run and how well I like that negative red LCD display. So far, so good. I think I am going to like it. But if I change my mind, I will certainly let you know in a future episode of the Good Timekeeping Show.